You know, when you think of Deadpool, you think Merc with a mouth, you think anti hero, and you think fashion icon.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and this is my first Top 10 Tuesday in a while. Um, I was focusing a lot on the non-competition history series, and also just kind of did not have any ideas coming to me for a while there. This one was suggested by some listener a while ago, aka the only one who ever comments on the videos. Um, but I made this a while ago. I've had it made for a long time, but I've been like focusing on the non-comics history, which took a long time to do, as you can probably guess. And we finished that yesterday, the last episode of that, so I could do the other days a little bit easier now. So today I have for you my top 10 MCU costumes. Specifically MCU, that's important. Also, I don't even know how I would possibly do like a comics one because there's so many. But MCU pretty straightforward. Like I don't think it'll be hard for me to decide which you know it's pretty simple there. But let's just get right into it, and I will start. The first three, the bottom three, I guess, are going to be like the generic. I'll call them the generic, because a lot of the rest of these after the top three have a specific movie where the costume specifically was really cool, and I thought it was great. Um, these bottom three are just like generally, I don't see a big enough change between movies with their costumes to mention, and they just always look good. The costumes are just always cool, but not like significantly different. So let's start out with number 10. Uh, like you'd think his costume is impractical, but it like is actually the most practical and so cool. And even though it's like kind of flamboyant, it's like flamboyantly practical or practically it's practically flamboyant. That's better. That's a better way to phrase that. And it's just he be looking good. He be styling. Oh, at number 10, we have Doctor Strange. Yes, it is mostly the cape. That's like just don't you don't have to wonder anymore. Yes, the cape is awesome. The fact that his cape is alive, kind of, I don't know exactly what's going on. It's magic, and it definitely has a personality, so I guess it's like alive. Major bonus points there, and it just looks great. Collar, the dramatic collar, just it's always so flowy and cool looking, and it can fly around and do stuff and kind of like be its own superhero as well. So that's just bonus points. Also, um, he really has the wizard look, just like a really cool wizard. It's kind of like a wizard robe, but like cool, which is hard to do because like you immediately are thinking like Gandalf, Dumbledore, which is it's a wizard look, so it's not bad, but it's definitely not cool. You wouldn't describe it as cool. No, he's definitely a wizard. There's also definitely real cool in the robe. And then it all ties together with the time stone in the middle. He's always looking good, uh, no matter what movie he's in. I don't know if he's had significant changes again to his costume from movie to movie, but just like the cape, the stone, the robe, and just stylish wizard. Honestly, every single movie. So I mean, what more can you ask for than a stylish wizard? Okay, a lot actually. You can ask for a lot more, but it's pretty great. It deserves a spot on the list. The stylish wizard. Oh, moving on from the realm of wizards, into a realm that I have no idea how I would describe to you. Definitely not just superhero costumes in general, but like something else. So, at number 9, I have put Star-Lord. Again, don't know if it changes significantly. If it does, I did not really notice. But I feel like I used to have beef with the helmet because like it just doesn't it I didn't think it looked cool, and I was like I just kind of wanted to see his face. You always kind of just want to see their face, even though it makes more sense for them to like cover their face and protect themselves. But like it just does look cooler when they have the helmet on. But when thinking about this list and just like in general, me watching it and being not 10 years old, I was kind of like, okay, the mask is kind of cool, and it just like it works for what kind of superhero he is, like a space superhero. Is that the category you would put him in? I don't know. But like it's kind of like alien-ish, but it's also like a really cool helmet, and it looks way more practical and helpful than a lot of like other helmets, which kind of like it's like they don't even cover the whole face, so like what else would they be there for besides like decoration at this point? His like kind of gives him a good amount of coverage, except for the top of his head where his brain is. But still, it's more than most people. And has cool glowy eyes, but also like the jacket, man, the like red leather jacket, just like it's like the top. It's like the top half of him is like cool, slick space superhero, and then like the rest is like kind of hmm. How do I describe this? He's just like a dude, but like he's like a cool look. He's cool. He's just like a cool dude, and then the top is like in space. It's like a very normal like looking costume, and then it has the extra like oh he's just a cool guy, oh, but like oh he's like a superhero too, so that's fun. Um, it it's like the bottom. It's like the shirt and stuff downwards is like stuff you might actually wear, like any young adult guy with a good sense of style might wear. And then just add the mask, and for some reason that works as a superhero costume. Definitely for who Peter Quill is, though. Yes, that makes sense why it would work. That's just the guy he is. He kind of is just a dude that like happens to be a superhero and is kind of good at it. So I think it just fits in perfectly. And again, great jacket. Really, that really love that jacket. So yeah, always consistently great in all of his movies. Yeah. So finishing up the generics, uh, I I feel like this one I'm the most like iffy on whether or not there were big changes between movies, because it would seem like there were, and I know there has been at least one like really big change, but like besides that obvious one. But I'm just gonna keep them with the generics because I can't remember a specific a specific one that like jumped out at me in my memory. But I do just remember him like the other two, just kind of looking good. Whenever whenever he showed up. So at number 8, I have put Iron Man, because obviously I feel like you kind of have to put him on this list. His is like a really good mix of like looking cool but also being practical. It's probably the most practical of this list because he actually is he's like all the way covered, which sadly with the people he fights usually like ends up being barely useful because they can just like or just like cut it out or whatever. But still like better than nothing. Like most of them were very little. He's actually fully covered, fully protected, but also shiny, and it catches the eye. It's what's the word? It's like crowd pleasing. It makes him look approachable, maybe is the word. It just looks cool. Like, he doesn't look ominous or menacing or anything. He has some fun colors on there, but also fully protected and best at hiding his secret identity for sure. Um and also just the suit itself is also obviously great because it's like literally his entire powers. Oh, it's great, and like you really I don't know if this is how they did it in the MCU because he did reveal that he was Iron Man on like the first movie. But like in the comics, you can see how he kind of just like the Iron Man suit acted like it was his bodyguard. So he kind of just before people knew he was Iron Man, he kind of just pretended to be his own bodyguard. So and it makes sense. It's like all fully functioning like by itself suit that also uh he happens to be able to go inside and it looks cool whether he's in it or not, and it's useful whether he's in it or not. So honestly, all around great stuff from Tony. But yeah, Iron Man has to be on there. I feel like I would I mean I know like it's an opinion, but I feel like I would be wrong. I feel like you you tell me that I'm wrong, some of you would if you ever commented. Um but I feel like you would at least feel in your hearts that that doesn't make sense to not have Iron Man on this list. Because like he's just no Iron Man. He just looks really cool. And it's a cool suit. And it's always a cool suit and you don't really have to do anything like all these variations. He's just cool. He's like, that's why he's at the top of the generic. It's not specifically cool in one time, but like he just all around looks pretty great, and it works. So, moving on from our generics, we are going to specific movie suits. So, yeah, just these do have a significant change from movie to movie, and these are the suits that I thought were the best for this character across the movies they've been in. So, number 7. I don't even like this character, but like, you can't really put their like who they are as a character into judging their suits that much. I mean, I, it's not a big factor, and it's just like their costume. So you know, their personality doesn't have a big much to do with their costume. So I have included Captain America's suit specifically from Age of Ultron. Now, why I said Age of Ultron? Because you kind of have like each suit of Captain America's is a certain mix of like I don't think gritty is the right word, but like seriousness, like a serious attitude to it, and also the red, white, and blue bright colors of Captain America because the MCU, it's like it's not like a kids movie. It's not supposed to feel silly. It's like serious tone movies, but you also have to you gotta do you can't just like completely just dark all the characters completely. You have to keep a little bit of the cool, just fun uh comics costumes, and each one has tried to kind of mix both of those. I feel like, the first one obviously was just like totally silly. Let's just do what the comics looked like, and it wasn't even trying to mix it. And then I feel like you have more like uh Infinity War is like a lot more on the darker, like more toned down, and like literally just darker, and not really much whimsy at all. Just like darkness, big sad. Which fit the movie. Honestly, it's not a fun, upbeat, happy movie, but still, I think that Age of Ultron did the best at like combining the two. Like it's not obnoxious and it's not, a caricature like the first one was, but it's not so bright and like, okay, that's a little much. But it's also not like just it doesn't look depressing. I feel like the suit itself in like Infinity War just looked sad. It looked not bad, like not like it was poorly designed, like I would know anything about that. Um, but it just like it looked sad. It made me feel sad. But Age of Ultron, it's like it looks serious. It looks practical and like it looks like you're gonna go, take care of business in it. But it also is like, this is Captain America. He stands for the country. He's a symbol. He inspires people, and he's a little. It's not super dark and grim. He's a symbol. And he has these colors, and I think it just looks. It's the perfect combination of the two. And I think that he also like his helmet is also good here. I feel like he wears it. I don't know if the helmet is significantly different. I just like see him wearing it more. And it goes with the whole vibe. Uh and I feel like he wears it more in this movie than he did in others. That just could be a long remembrance, but and it's the helmet's a part of the suit, so it makes sense. And I guess the shield is a part of it, but that doesn't really change drastically. I mean, it definitely has some big changes, but most of the time it is the same shield. But because of the way this costume blends those two, like being serious and being uh like inspiring and fun together, like the shield does kind of fit very well with it. Maybe better than others because the shield always just looks like a good mix of the two. So when you have the costume that's a good mix, it all fits together real nice, and you have a just good costume. Great costume. Oh yeah. Even though I don't like Captain America, like he do be looking cool. Um, he, I mean, he is kind of Captain Puerto Rico because it is shaped like a Puerto Rican flag, but it's Captain America. It's red, white, and blue, so that's American. Anyway, moving along. I This feels like a weird entry at number 6, but it is here, and you know, I put it here because I like it. But it did just come to mind, and I thought of it. I just thought it was a really cool costume, and it doesn't feel like the first thing you would think about when you're like the MCU's best costume. But I just think it's a good example of like especially of like translating from comic to movies. So at number 6, I have put the Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming. It also feels a little weird because it's like a villain costume. You don't, I guess, think as much of those maybe. But I did think of it. I was reminded of it. And the thing I like best about this one is that like the Vulture, his suit is just generally kind of corny. As that's like in the comic, obviously it's gotten better as comics have just gotten more mature in general. But like it's usually a more out there suit in just the media in general when he shows up. It's just like I don't know if anyone would ever want to wear that ever kind of suit. And I think that this just in Spider-Man: Homecoming they did such a good job because he was like they made him a serious character, which he's not usually like a super goofy character. But they had made him a serious character, and they made him a suit that like really fit that he was like a serious villain. Not no he's no joke of a villain. Like he's really the villain who's something that needs to be dealt with, but also like it felt like the Vulture. It wasn't like you completely just scratch, the idea of it in the comics. You just like completely made up something totally different. But like they took it and they were like it's like they took it and they're like, okay, but like what would a human want to put on their body? Um that kind of resembles this. And they really did it. And it looks cool. It doesn't look like, you know, menacing or anything. It doesn't like make him look like, I'm a big scary villain. But it is like, it fits his vibe. He's like, uh, you know, it's like serious and uh it fits the tone well. And also that they still did like a mask for him sometimes that works really well too. And it doesn't I feel like that's especially kind of the part that can get a little goofy with Vulture, but they made that part look more serious but not completely thrown away, like inspired by the design. And like I don't know if inspired by is even the right word because like they really like did justice to it. They didn't just kind of like, oh, we'll take some ideas. It's like they did it. They just made a few tweaks and it just looks to make it fit the vibe and the tone here. So all of it is just like you know okay, this is a little ridiculous, but with just a few tweaks we can make it make sense here. And I think they did a really great job with that. Also, I mean, just looking at it, it's just cool looking. You know, he's a cool looking bad guy. Um, you know, so I think that that it's only villain on the list, but I think he deserves the spot. All right, number five. At the halfway point on our list, I feel like you might not even be able to tell the difference between the two costumes. Well, I'm sure she had some slight variations on her costumes in the other movies, but between her specific movies, you probably wouldn't even tell the difference. I do, because the second one is cooler. And at number five, I put Captain Marvel specifically from the Marvels. Now, like, just choosing the difference for me, it was like definitely not like Infinity War and End. She wasn't in Infinity War. Was she? No. Was she? Gosh, I can't remember. It's been a while since I actually watched the movies through, and not just like research. But those like in her not her own movies that she was in, like not those because like the hair feels like it's a part of the costume, and the short hair is like it just is not it. It's just like like a little Lizzie. So not that. And then the one in Captain Marvel, and the difference between Captain Marvel and the Marvels. Um, it's hard to put that into words, but there is a difference. It just like looks it. I don't know. It means something about how the character is changing to me. Because the first one was just it's like a traditional superhero bodysuit, and it had the helmet, and it was it was it had its own design, but it wasn't super standout, I guess. It was cool to look at. It was a very cool suit, but like it didn't look very unique to her as a character, which kind of makes sense for the movie because she's still figuring out who she even is in that movie. And it's literally just her suit from you know being with the Kree or Kree, and it's literally just that suit, and she just changed colors, so it's not very unique to her. But like in the Marvels, I think it kind of gets like her own. It gets like a more her own personality as she remembers her personality. Kind of gets it back. Um, it changes with her, and I think it's just really cool. Like she just yeah, she has the little sash I think on the bottom, like around her waist, and I think that's a really cool thing. It's I've always liked that from the comics, and it looks great. And also her hair is back, and it's looking great. I really like the gloves specifically. I don't know what it's just they're just red gloves, but I really think they're cool. And it looks more like she had a hand in you know, choosing what it looked like, and like that's what it is, because she had basically no hand. She just changed the colors again. She had really nothing to do with her first suit, but now it kind of looks like as she's getting her personality back, she's kind of showing it in her suit. I feel like, um, and I really like that, and it's like just a really cool suit. Also, like I just think it looks really cool. Um, like yeah, it just looks good. It just looks good. She looks good. Brie Larson. Is that her name? I forgot her name. My brain is not actually working right now, but that's okay. But I mean, she just looks good. She makes it work. I mean, it's a good costume, so most people could, but like she just looks good in it. It just looks good. It's a good looking costume. Yeah, and what it represents really is I just noticed it, and it made me happy when thinking about this list. I don't think it jumped out at me when I first watched the Marvels, but like thinking about for this list, I was like, this costume kind of like means something. It doesn't just look great, which again it does. It means something. So yeah, it's awesome. All right, and number four, um, you know, it's high on the list. Like I'm not gonna I always feel bad, like they should be higher because I feel like most people have been higher. But like I don't feel bad. It's on the list. It's a great costume. It's just lower than maybe one that people would not expect to be higher than. But I do love this costume, and it's really important for fans of the character like me. And it's just did it great. We waited for it for so long, and they did it so well. So at number four, we gotta put Wolverine's suit from Deadpool and Wolverine because finally the comic accurate suit, and it looks so cool and not silly at all. Like I mean, it's bright, but like it doesn't like I'm not like it's not a joke or anything. It's just so cool because you just think you look at that in the comics and like I mean I don't think about it being silly necessarily when I read the comics with them in it, but like that that would look you just see it and you can see why they didn't immediately go with that. I guess in the movies because it kind of looks like that might not translate very well to a seriously toned live action movie. Just because I mean you can just see it, but so they just did the black leather, which was fine, but it wasn't Wolvie's suit, and Wolvie's suit is important. The superhero's costume is like a big part of the superhero, so we waited for a long time, and then he came back. Huge Jackman came back, and he brought the suit. He got the suit, and just it's awesome. It has his colors, it has his mask, but it also looks like it's actually youthful and like not a what word am I looking for? Not just like a blue and yellow unitard with tights or whatever. And then he goes the sleeveless version, and it's just awesome. Like it looks like absolutely like you could destroy some people in that suit, but also it looks like it's from the comics, and it's so cool. And it's just the mask is so cool. And like this is from somebody who has not seen the movie again, just like seen pictures and trailers and everything. But I don't even need to see it in action to know that it looks awesome because it does look awesome. And like I don't need the clarification. It's awesome and it's important. It's a big deal for the Wolverine fans. Um, and I'm glad that we got it with like before the MCU, I guess. And it's great. It's great. It's not an upsetting uh adaptation. And it makes sense that the MCU would do this. That Fox would never really try. I guess it makes a lot of sense that he would have to get into the MCU before getting a suit because I don't know. Fox just feels darker. It just has a darker vibe. All of the movies, even like the hilarious, crazy comedy Deadpool movies, they literally look darker, and they're just kind of like a grayness over them, and that's just kind of their vibe. So it makes sense that he would have to get to the MCU because he's more brightly colored, a little bit more flashy suit, but they did it and it's great and it's awesome and I love it. So yeah, next this is like you'll see now probably why I felt a little bit weird putting this above Wolvie's because number three on the podium is Deadpool's costumes in Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I feel like, you might think that from the Deadpool movies it's not that big of a difference. But I think, comics wise and just in general, I just like Deadpool's suit more than Wolverine's. And it looked, it was a comic accurate good suit in the Fox movies. But again, just like that kind of grayscale over everything, um, it had its impact, and I wouldn't have noticed it because I didn't watch those movies, and I also he hadn't been in the MCU, so I had no comparison. But I didn't really notice how much it affected his suit until I saw the one in Deadpool Wolverine. It's just brighter and shinier and more like eye catching. It makes you like you just notice it more. And like since the Deadpool costume's already so cool, and now you're just like kind of taking all the grayness off and just like showing like yeah, it's bright red, it's Deadpool. He looks I don't know, cool is the right like he does look cool. He looks goofy but cool. Like not goofy. He looks like Deadpool. He's Deadpool. I don't know how to explain it. He's just Deadpool and he looks like Deadpool. It's just great. Just like the brighter color, just more. It just feels more of his vibes, and I really like the belt specifically. I don't like they like zoomed in and made it apparent in the trailer, so it definitely caught my eye on purpose. But like the belt, it just looks it's a cool looking belt. I really like the logo looks great on it, and it you know you can without all the grayness, you can kind of like your eyes get drawn to stuff like that, little details, because they stick out more. They're more noticeable. They're not hidden and darkened out, I guess. Um, and I wouldn't have thought that that had such a big impact on the suit, but it really did, and I really just the new look in the MCU. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with him now and his suit in the upcoming MCU, but like just now, we're just gonna be happy in the MCU. He looks great, and the suit looks great, and it's great. It's all great for him. So that's that. All right, at number two, second place on the podium. This is like not just a specific movie; it's a specific point in the movie. I'm pretty sure it only appears at the end. Anyway, so this is a super like again one of my favorite characters. And they had never done his suit badly or even like Wolverine. Like I wouldn't have said his suit was bad, but like maybe not very comic accurate. This guy's suit at number two has always pretty much been comic accurate because he's had so many suits. So it's not really that's not really the problem. But like this one just jumps out and you're kind of like, oh, that's the suit. That's his suit. That's the suit that I think of when I first picture him in my mind. So at number two, we have Spider-Man's suit from the end of No Way Home when he's all sad and everything's depressing and he's swinging through, still doing his thing, still being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and you just see the like super shiny, but and like so awesome, but so simple, just the red and the blue. No, it doesn't look like it has some super fancy tech. I mean, it probably does. But like you don't, it's not super metallic like Tony's suits, and it's not particularly flashy. There's not like huge details and highlights and stuff. It's just like the red and the blue, which he's had before. He's had the simple red and blue before, but this time it just looks more mature. It looks it looks like um it you know it looks more mature. It just looks more mature, and it's like again these bright bold colors, but like he's a serious character, and it's like not a goofy way. It's just it sticks out now, and it's like he kind of wore the bright red and blue the first time because like he's just he's just like a young kid. He's not trying too hard to be serious, and as the movies went on, he got kind of more toned down, serious costumes, and now he's like back to that original root of the costume, but it just looks more grown up, and it just looks great. And it's just like that, that red and blue is what you think of when you think at least what I think of when I think Spidey, because like, look, the red and the blue, that's Spidey, and it looks so good. And it's really shiny. uh, I mean, I assume that was on purpose, but it's just and it just looks good. It's all the good feelings for the Spidey fans. I mean, that whole movie is. Again, I love this movie. Like, I don't know how many times I need to say that on this podcast, but this is an amazing movie. I love it so much. Um, but yeah, just like all the way to the end, they just kept the just nostalgia. Like this is for Spider-Man fans going to absolutely love this, and we did. And they kept that all the way to the end, even just with this. It's just great. It's like the whole reason I love this movie summed up in a suit. So yeah, it's awesome. Just every part of this movie is one of my favorite parts. So is seeing this suit is one of my favorite parts of the movie because the whole movie is favorite part. So all right, number one. I honestly don't know how other people feel about this. I mean, it's like a well received costume. I just don't know if they would feel as strongly. I don't know if this is a weird pick or whatever, but this is genuinely what I feel the best MCU costume. Mostly because of how it compares to the comics, because I have always kind of like since I've known about her, I've always kind of been fascinated with this character. In the comics, though, a big problem actually with her costume. I was like, what the heck? Why would anybody wear that ever? Um, and in the MCU, when she first showed up, it was a much better costume for sure, but not at all comic accurate. Just had her colored. And then you get this one, and the way it's revealed, and just like it's all perfect. So number one for me just has to be the Scarlet Witch's costume in WandaVision because just this was the first time I had like really like had the awareness and just had the I don't know the vibe of watching it to really like experience like a big costume reveal. And just it was perfect because again I've just been fascinated with Scarlet Witch, but her costume in the comics is awful. Like I mean, it just is. It's terrible. It's like it's a full body tights with a swimsuit and a giant obnoxious headband. Um, so it's like what is the idea here? Oh, and a cape because of course. But like it looks like a Dollar Tree costume cape. It's just bad. It's so bad. Like the classic one. She's obviously gotten upgraded in the comics, but like the classic Scarlet Witch. Like if you Googled Scarlet Witch comics really come up. And like what she wore in the Halloween episode as well. Like that was basically it. She just forgot the arm tights. So yeah, it's awful. But you're going through this whole thing and she's like, you're the Scarlet Witch, and so you're just waiting. Like she's about to like she's gonna get the costume. You know that she's gonna get the costume. And for me, I'm just like, how are they gonna make this like look good at all? It's so awful. And so she gets like with like the I don't know if it was a telekinetic type of energy or like the magic, but she gets the glowy, non-solid tiara thing around her head, and it's very like subtle. It's just like a chill headpiece, and it's not super dramatic. I'm like, oh, okay, like they managed to make that part, which is like maybe the most obnoxious part of the costume, look kind of cool, and it's not even fully there yet. So okay, this could be good. And then she like just emerges from the like shield thing, and like in this just like I don't know how to explain to you if you don't know what I'm talking. Like I literally don't have words. Just like wow, like what, like wow. It's just so awesome, and I think it's just like the thing I was talking about when I was talking about the Vulture, but like times 10,000. It's just like the comics costume is goofy and it doesn't really work, and you see how they took that and they just changed like they made the colors less obnoxious they like changed up, they took out, they just altered some things. All they had to do was switch some stuff around, change some colors, and it's like that is like I think you can still call that like a comic accurate suit, but just so much better. Like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's just the coolest. Um, like so much better than anything in the comics, but also somehow like pretty faithful to the comics. It's so much more like practical. She doesn't always wear the cape; she just wears it for the first time, and it looks great. And the rest of it is just like a plain normal bodysuit and not full body tights and a swimsuit. It's like it's just a full bodysuit that like you know it's not it's not just tights again. It's like it looks functional. It's like you can breathe in there, and it but also got all it like looks as the designs and stuff, and it's just looking cool. But like it's just I don't know. I don't know the like great words to describe how perfect this was, but I think a big part of it was just being in the perfect conditions to really experience like a big costume reveal. And for one of my favorite characters, who like the costume was kind of cool in the other appearances, but like she wasn't really the Scarlet Witch, so it wasn't really a Scarlet Witch costume. It was just kind of a chill, like I'm a hero too kind of costume. But this one just it's awesome. It's so cool. Like, I don't know any more words to say. It's just great. It's perfect. I love it so much. It's definitely my favorite. Definitely the best in my opinion. Just all of the little things. So that's it for this list. Thank you guys for watching. Um, I don't know if that's yeah. So I think I'll probably have all 3 days filled this week, and then next week I'll do some stuff. But after that, I'll be taking a pretty big break for a while. I have a thing, um, and but I'll try to get at least two next week. Maybe I'll even think of another idea for a top 10. But as for this week, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and share, comment, and subscribe. Comment your favorite costume and why. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Subscribe.